Coming up next, we have Cody Garbrandt taking on Brian Boom Kelleher in a bantamweight matchup that was set up by, as Dana White called him, fucking UFC lunatic Joe Reeves. Joe Reeves, for those of you who don't know, was the UFC fan who won the matchmaker sweepstakes, where he got to go into the UFC headquarters, hang out with the matchmakers, and give some input. As it turns out, Joe Reeves was so good at matchmaking by Dana White standards that he ended up hiring him on the spot. And this was one of the ones that he set up, at least that Dana White told us about. I haven't heard of any other ones that Joe has set up during his time with the UFC. But hey, congrats to Joe. One of us. Now working with the big boys. So we've got no love. Cody Garbrandt, the former champion himself. We've talked about it being a little bit of a change of the guard. Not really a change of the guard here because he's going up against Brian Kelleher, but it is an old head kind of back at it, at least from an old head standpoint. He's got those MMA miles, and the MMA miles have not treated him well, Rick. I think that Garbrandt still has the hand speed. He can still put some damage on his opponents. I think that he will be able to put damage on Kelleher if he chooses to. The chin is completely shot for him. Like, it's gone. It is gone. And I think that's the scarier part because you pair that with his style where he kind of fights with his hands down and how careful he fought Trevin Jones in his last time out. Like, I thought he lost that third round against Trevin Jones in that fight because he was just being way too calm and way too reserved, he was like, oh, I won the first 2 rounds. Oh my God, I might actually get a win. He did. You can't really do that against Brian Kelleher. And I think that's what makes this one so exciting. And what makes me think that we have a really good one on our hands here with Joe Reeves setting the matches. So Rick, what do you see with this one?
Yeah, I think that it'll be interesting because that Trevin Jones fight, as you mentioned, I mean, he landed less than 30 strikes and we went to a decision. And there was no ground control. Like, that fight was on the feet and he landed 2 strikes a minute against Trevin Jones. I mean, it was as bad of a comeback. I mean, he was out for about 15 months before that fight too. So people were eager to see him. I mean, he's got a big draw. He's a big name. He talks a lot too. Obviously, he's got all the knockouts on his resume. But you didn't really see much. I mean, to your point, the speed was still there, but he's a boxer. That is what he is. Like, we know what he is. He's not developing other skills. He doesn't kick at all. He's not going to take you down. He's not going to submit you. He's got 0 submissions to his name. He's only won 3 decisions, with that Trevin Giles being one of them. But what's going to make this fight interesting is that Kelleher's always down to get into one of those tussles. He's going to force it out of you. And so no matter what, he's going to bring it out of Cody Garbrandt. Either we're going to see the Cody Garbrandt of old where he knocks a guy out and he knocks Kelleher out because Kelleher can get wobbled. He's gotten wobbled plenty of times, too often. So either we're going to see Kelleher get wobbled and finished, or we're going to see Kelleher take it to Garbrandt and really put a nail in that coffin that is his UFC career. But what we've seen out of Kelleher is when he does get wobbled, he's proven over and over that he's got that dog in him. And he's going to keep going forward, and he's got that wrestling in his back pocket. His scrambling and his offensive takedowns are fantastic. His defensive takedowns suck dick. Well, he doesn't have to use them here. Doesn't have to worry about them.
100%.
So I think that we're going to see a Kelleher that's motivated, despite being 37 years old, and that is going to want to take the fight to Garbrandt and have more weapons than Garbrandt. The only issue is can he get there before that straight from Garbrandt lands? Because Garbrandt's got good power and good speed. So it's an interesting fight. I think the odds are interesting as well, just because these guys are so small. There's not much. The odds are -150 for it not to go the distance, which is surprising given Cody Garbrandt's history because despite that Trevin Jones decision, the fights before go first round knockout decision, second round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, second round knockout, decision, first round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout. In this division, you don't see that. And with his chin being gone, I think that we see one of the two. I think that he knows he's on his last legs. He knows this type of fighter that he is, an entertaining fighter. He's going to want to fall on his sword here. And if not, Brian Kelleher is going to make him fall on his sword. So I'm going to go Kelleher in this fight. I'm going to go the underdog. I think he's got more ways to win it. He was +185 last night. He's already down to +165. So I'm going to have to lock him in at +165 apprehensively. But I'm also going to take the fight not to go the distance at -150 as well. I think that we get a finish in this one pretty confidently. And so I've got a unit on both of those. Andy, what about you?
I'm with you on the fight not to go the distance. This is one of those that I touched on earlier where it's awkward if you want to take Cody Garbrandt because you're not trying to lay -190 on the guy, or I guess he's down a little bit more than that now. As you said, that the odds have kind of went a bit in Kelleher's favor here. But I love the fight not to go to distance because I'm with you. I don't necessarily think Cody Garbrandt's going to try to fall on his sword, though, is where I'm going to disagree. I just think that Brian Kelleher is going to bring so much chaos his way that he's going to have no choice but to actually bring the weapons out. But he's not going to really be able to play it safe like he did with Trevin Jones. And that's what's exciting about this one. I mean, Kelleher's coming off of a neck injury here. Like, he's fully healed up now, but like, there's stuff when you get to that age, there's going to be other lingering stuff with this guy as there is with Garbrandt, because we've seen it with Garbrandt. So I can't wait to. Or go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the last point I wanted to make is the people that Kelleher has struggled with in his 8-7 UFC career have been elite wrestlers or BJJ artists, not Cody Garbrandt. I mean, his losses got submitted by Nurmagomedov, submitted by Mario Bautista, lost to Ricky Simone, lost to a wrestler in Cody Stamann. Those are his losses, not the type of fighter that Garbrandt is. So, sorry. My last point is sort of hammering home how confident we are in Kelleher.
Yeah, so I'll be taking Kelleher as my pick to win the fight. My play is fight not to go the distance. Rick is going with Kelleher to win the fight and is also putting him for half a unit, correct? To
full
win
unit.
The fight.
Full unit to win the fight.
Full unit.
Yeah.
Come on. Do it for Joe Reeves. And we
bam.
both have fight not to go the distance at -150. Coming up next, we have Irene Aldana taking on Carol Rosa in the second to last fight of the prelims at women's bantamweight. So keep it locked in with us as we continue to go along with UFC 296.